Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for day 3, which could be the final day of this test match between South Africa and the West Indies. As you can see by some of the totals, South Africa bowled out for 116, their lowest total they have ever scored up against the West Indies in an innings. And I believe the previous was about 141, so quite a margin lower. But in the West Indies, they did have to face just the 1 over in session number 1. They got through 3 balls, and it was Brathwaite in the end who was dismissed with that delivery on slightly down leg side. So currently, West Indies under a little bit of pressure here. South Africa, they are trying to defend 247 runs. My phone is buzzing flat out, mainly because for some reason notifications haven't worked for the past 2 weeks. They are working now. I've got every notification coming through. So you might hear a wee buzz for the first little while of this one. But Reefer leaves that one outside of off stump. Actually had a very good first innings for the West Indies. Rabada was able to pick up that early wicket, the important wicket as well of the captain Brathwaite. India lead by 57 runs with 3 wickets remaining. Can Australia chase down 100 in the 4th innings, says Coding. I mean, they should be able to theoretically, but if we've learned anything from these pitches that they're playing on, is you just never really know. It's a tough pitch to bat on. It's a day 2 pitch that's looking like a day 8. And, I mean, Australia would like to back themselves, of course, but think back to that first innings. If Labuschagne hadn't been bowled a no ball by Jadeja, how different could it have been? Can you guess the biggest loss in Super Rugby history, says Yanri now? Probably not. I'd assume it involves the South African side, though, because or else then you wouldn't bring it up, Yanri. I know that you are very fond of your South Africans. Now, it will be Anrich Nokia involved in the second over for the South Africans here. Right arm fast, does get it down there at about 150 when he starts warming up. 69 wickets taken. He's got himself 4 5-wicket hauls. If he can clean up this West Indian side, it could be over by the end of the day, like I mentioned, even though we are only on day 3. Now Nokia pitches it up. Chanderpaul leaves it alone outside of off stump. And he got a little bit over-aggressive in his first innings, Chanderpaul. He was just breezing along nicely, played an aggressive cover drive after having a near chance of going out. Yeah, it was Bulls beating the Queensland Reds 92-3. Says Yanri now. Timber Bavuma is worse than Algar as captain, says Coding. Yeah, he hasn't started too well, has he? Unfortunately for the new South African skipper, having a second ball duck in his first innings and a golden duck in the second. But I always find it interesting because the same people who were saying get rid of Algar, we want someone else, now are also saying get rid of Bavuma, we want someone else. So it's very hard to please some people, unfortunately. You make the change, trying to help them out, and they still decide to turn their backs on you. But I'm sure Bavuma eventually will find himself some decent form, whether or not that is when he's still captain, or whether it is a little bit further down the line. Oh, off the edge, it's been put down in the slip cordon from South Africa. The chance, who was that? It was actually Peterson who managed to put that ball down. And this test is going to be over today. Bavuma, most useless player in South African history, says Yanri. I mean, all you have to do is look at his average and you realise that's not the case. But I guess you can have your opinion of him. But at the end of the day, he's had some pretty impressive innings for South Africa in the past. And yeah, normally you base a player off his average and what his accomplishments are, and that man has got quite a few of them. And will this be a comfortable chase for West Indies? Or you see South Africa win it? I think at the moment, South Africa definitely looking like they should be able to defend the 247. Oh, definitely with bowling like that from Nokia, forcing the chance. Like if that was Chanderpaul gone, that would have been massive for them. And yo. See his pads ablaze. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. But Peterson, he'll be disappointed to drop that one. The South African scorecard looks like a phone number, says Rudy. And there. You see, that's the thing. South Africa, they did so well in that first innings to get a 200 and something run lead with only 1 wicket down. And then all the wickets started falling. Then the West Indies, they had a relatively all right start, and then their wickets started falling, definitely late on day two. And now we find ourselves with the South African side bowled out for 116, the West Indies back in and already having a wicket down in the first three balls of their innings. It's going to be a hard one to predict. You'd like to think that if the West Indies can knuckle down a little bit here and get a decent partnership, they do have a shot, but that's going to be tricky to do with the South African bowling attack that they're going to be facing. And Chanderpaul, it was that chance for Peterson. In fact, I think he might have dove across in front of his third slip, may have taken the catch away from him. Now Nokia once again tries to get it go across the reefer. That'll be the end of the over, though. 144 Ks on that delivery from Nokia. And this test match also will not go to day 5. Says coding. Very true. Although it will go slightly longer than the matchup between India and Australia. It's still in cricket, says Yanri. I mean, once again, one of those ones that it's not very easy to talk about on a live stream overall, but you can have your own opinion. And I know you're very sold in your opinions, as I've learnt from you being in live streams. But yeah, we won't go into that, seeing as we're watching some cricket. You don't really mention the logos or anything that are on the South African kits. You don't talk about their sponsors. You don't talk about their brands or what goes on behind closed doors. So I don't see why you've got to for the West Indies either. Nicely whipped off the pads for Chanderpaul. And that'll be a nice easy 2. Well fielded by Kutsi, who actually had a decent crack with the bat as well. And I think he's going to be a handy bowler. Gets quite a bit of spin, or sorry, quite a bit of swing. Well, I haven't watched cricket in years, says JP. Yeah, it's certainly a good season to get into the cricket. We've had so many test matches all back to back. England versus South Africa, or sorry, England versus New Zealand, South Africa, West Indies, Australia, India, heading into the Ashes as well, which is going to be an awesome season. And series, oh, you can't appeal when it's hit him right in the box, can you? That's a little bit too high. Can't even name half of the lineup, says JP. Right, Rabada thought that one was decent, but it's hit Chanderpaul right in the box. So you've got to wonder if he's ducked down enough. You're going to go upstairs. Did that not hit him in the box? Because if it... No, they reviewed it. Commentator missed the signal. 247 the target. They managed to review correctly for their first dismissal of Brathwaite. Need to go after the one down the leg side. Right, Rabada. Where does this hit Chanderpaul? I thought that it hit him in the box was my first reaction. No, actually, it's thigh pad. The way he reacted kind of jolted back. I hope they changed like 50% of the squad for the next test. Then the problem is, if they then also don't go great, Yanri, are you going to say that they should have changed the other 50%? And then you'll say they should have changed the whole team? I think that's probably going to be the trend that you find yourself having. Pitching in line, impact in line, umpire's call. So it will remain as not out, but it was a lot closer than it did look at first glance. And I think ICC must chuck test matches to only 4 days, says coding. It's tricky, though, because if a test match was 4 days, we wouldn't have seen New Zealand versus England go down to the thriller that it was. So if you take away the 5-day format, I feel like it kind of... like, it would shorten a lot of great test matches because it seems to always be the best test matches go the 5 days and either end on day 5 or end up with all the action on day 5 ending in a draw. Because a lot of other competitions, they do actually go for 4 days. The likes of, there's the New Zealand competition, that is actually the 4-day comp for the sides, and they seem to get results in those ones. But then saying that teams are getting bowled out often for only about 150 runs, somewhere around there. And also, but Test cricket is the worst format in cricket, says Yanri. You're in a very positive mood today, Yanri. Someone piss on your fish and chips. I mean, a lot of people would say that Test cricket is the best form of cricket because it doesn't just rely on... I mean, ODI to a certain extent, I think some people enjoy that the most, but T20, I think a lot of people would say is the worst format because of the aggressive nature of the players rather than being able to bat out an innings, facing 500 deliveries or 300 balls, working your way to a massive milestone. Instead, you can kind of have a whack fest and then you end up going out. Good afternoon, Aaron's just finished teaching for the day. Wow, this test match is moving quickly. Is the wicket very tricky with them low scores? Great bowling or poor batting? I think a little bit of both. We've seen some poor shot selection from both South Africa and the West Indies, but it does seem like a bowler's track as well. Like the pace bowlers are finding real success. We're hardly even seeing any spin options being used by either side. So Roston Chasen also was actually the man on debut. Muthusami not really getting too much of a crack either. It's just so boring, Test cricket, says Yanari. Well, no one's forcing you to watch it. Just saying. Like, I find other sports boring. I don't watch them. Easy. You don't have to watch it. No one's holding a gun to your head saying you have to watch Test cricket or else we will judge you. T20 is the best. All that action, like says Pads Ablaze, and I love Test cricket after I love T20, and then ODI is so boring, says Coding there. I think that's probably the order I'll put them in as well. And T20 is great for getting new eyes on the sport because people love seeing those massive shots or like the stumps going flying and the zinger bails lighting up. So they're the kind of ones that draw people into cricket. And then it's from there you can actually, I guess, try and entice them into watching. But when your country play, you have to. No, you don't. That's not the rule. I mean, the thing is, when you watch it, you only bag your team anyway. So what's the point? And Test cricket gets less boring in day 4, mostly day 5. There's Pads Ablaze. Yeah, normally it's the feeling out process for the first few days. And then after that, you manage to find that rhythm and you work out who's got the momentum that's nicely whipped off the pad by Reefer, but yet to get his first run. Well done by Nokia again. Actually, well done from DeSorzy. Being in close. And 5 days is the best, says Johannes Payne. And yeah, this Ashes series coming up, it's going to be intriguing because England may go with their aggressive nature. Australia, one of the strongest bowling attacks in cricket when they're getting it right and when they're at full strength. That is Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark, Nathan Lyon in there as well. It's in England, so you might see that Duke ball moving quite nicely. Another short ball, relatively short from Nokia, but well kept down by Reefer. And we did see DeSorzy almost take a catch in the first innings. When he was fielding in close, it just bounced into his hands. The ball, he's sitting on 3 runs at the moment off 9 deliveries. Could have been out early, but Peterson did end up dropping the catch. Silva sitting there. 7 catches so far throughout this matchup, showing that the outside edge is definitely an option. And not just the West Indian bowlers, but also South Africa. Brilliant straight drive from Reefer, though. No one will be catching up to that one. And it's going to be the first boundary of the innings for the West Indies. Reefer gets off the mark, moves up to 4 runs. Very good shot, just getting that front foot, pointing forward, waiting for it to arrive, and then just getting right in behind it, perfectly in the middle of the bat. And also we have got there, it's actually crazy how a country in Africa dominate the best, most rich countries in the world, says Yanri now. But once again, I have hardly heard you say a good word about your sides when it comes to cricket. So it's like, you know, if you're going to go with the stats of look how good we are, you've also got to be willing to back your boys when they're struggling. I feel like that's actually what makes a sports fan, not someone who jumps on a bandwagon when they're going all right and goes, yeah, nah, look at us. Reefer doing well, keeping out there. This needs to be a big partnership here for the West Indies. They do still require 240 runs to be able to win it, and which is difficult in Test cricket. Chase a score in the 4th innings or take 10 wickets in the 4th innings to win the match. I think it's all off the outside edge there for Reefer. They'll be able to get, they should get 2 here. Yep, they do. That one was actually glided down, rolled into the hands of Muthusami, who did have a bit of a misfield. I think it's always harder to get the runs in a 4th innings because as a batsman, when you're looking up at that scoreboard, let's say you need like 250, 300. This actually is a perfect example. When you need 250 on the board to be able to win it and you lose that early wicket, I feel like that pressure can create other opportunities for the bowling side. But then the same can be said when you're a bowling attack and you're not getting any of those wickets. No other team has beaten South Africa more in any format than England and Australia. It's actually insane. Says Yanri now. Is it? Nice ball again from Rabada. That will close out his over. In fact, sorry, that will start his over. Showing that length, 6 meters, about where it was. That made it tricky for Chandapal. That was the one that Rabada ended up appealing for. Umpire gave it as not out, and then it ended up just bouncing a little bit higher. Oh, down the leg side, Chandapal considered flicking it, but instead got out of the way. And this is going to be a big test for the youngster because he's going to have to show experience beyond his years to be able to help the West Indies towards a monumental victory. Like I mentioned, they've already bowled South Africa for a lowest ever test match innings up against the West Indies. Then to not win a game that has happened in, I think that would hurt the Windies as well. 138k, so Rabada down a little bit in pace. He's still got his 3 slips in play, though. Relatively aggressive field from South Africa, still allowing those singles and maybe that boundary out through the cover region. They want to go for it. I think Chandapal's actually slightly straightened out the way that he does start as well. He used to start a little bit wider. Still starts very wide in his stance with a foot way to leg, but I don't think it's quite as round as it was when he was playing in Australia. So perhaps trying to work on that technique of how to compact it a little bit more, a bit less of an error. But the next batsman to the crease, it will be Jermaine Blackwood. He has scored some very impressive totals for the West Indies in the past. Then it is Kyle Mayers, Roston Chase, Joshua De Silva, Jason Holder. Now that's where, like in the first innings, they just ended up falling over late, unfortunately, for the West Indies. Like Mayers got 18. That was good. De Silva ended up with 4. Holder got a 3rd ball duck. Alzari Joseph got 4. Kumar Roach got 4. And Shannon Gabriel with the 7. Whereas South Africa, even in the second innings, when they were really struggling at the top of the order, Rabada getting 10, 20 from Kutsia was actually probably very crucial runs being scored. And the same could be said about their first innings. Janssen 23, Kutsia 17, Nokia 14. All adding up quite nicely. That is the end of the over. It's going to be 9 for 1. And it's tough to score runs on these fast and bouncy pitches in South Africa, says Coding. I think if anything we have learnt from the first 3 days is you've just got to get yourself in. A lot of these guys who have been going out have been very, very impatient in the way that they've played. You look at Chandapal's dismissal in the first innings. He just chased the wide one. He almost got out a couple of balls before. Then he played a beautiful cover drive. And then he went, I want to do that again on the very next ball. And South Africa has played the West Indies 108 times. There's Yanri now. So, yeah, rich history between these two sides in cricket. Nice in swing and delivery from Nokia. I guess that makes the fact that South Africa were bowled out for 116, and that's their lowest up against the West Indies, even that much more impressive from this current West Indian side. And Paul seeming like he's not too phased at the non-striker's end at the moment. Nokia, he's been the more expensive of the 2 bowlers. It seems like it's going to be quite hard to get Rabada away early. Normally, Rabada's worst enemy is actually his front foot, because he does bowl a fair share of no balls. We've actually seen quite a few throughout this day as well. Nathan Lyon, 7-wicket haul. Make sure Australia can win a test in the series, says Coding. And what I might actually quickly do is we're going to go like this. And we're going to turn that down in the speakers. And we might as well get the Australia game up in our corner as well. And we just actually saw that wicket of Pujara. They've been out there for quite some time. Nokia, though, short ball down the leg side. I've done a great catch from Steve Smith in that game. So Australia currently up against India. It is the 3rd innings of the match. and Australia to be able to win that matchup. Currently, still need another 2 wickets, and then they'll have to chase down around that maybe 70, 75 run mark, depending on how well the rest of the Indian lineup go. But they are 155 for 8 currently, India, in day 2. South Africa has won 84 and the West Indies 24, which means the West Indies has a 22% win record against South Africa, says Yari now. Yeah, they'd certainly love to make a bit of history themselves. That's nicely whipped off the pads. Now they want to run 2. They will get through for it as well. Good running between the wickets from Rifa and Chanderpaul. Rifa, it looks like that helmet's a little bit low over the eyes. Don't know whether it's just the angle, maybe it's weighing it down. I know that when I've got the GoPro on the camera at the front of the helmet, it ends up with the helmet kind of going down to there, and I'm looking through a very small margin just because my helmet doesn't seem to be able to tighten enough around my skinny head. 4 slips, a gully at the moment for the South Africans with Nokia bowling across the left-handers. 88 miles per hour, still getting it through quite nicely. New Zealand and South Africa don't play each other a lot. There's Jan Rinel. It's quite hard to organise tours between the two sides. They were supposed to play in South Africa a while ago, weren't they? But I don't remember what happened that stopped them from being able to travel to South Africa. But then South Africa came here. I think that was actually last year, wasn't it? We did end up playing South Africa. I think that was a drawn series. If I'm not wrong. I know New Zealand definitely didn't lose that series, though, because they have had quite an impressive record at home, tying, I think, at least their last 12 series or winning them. End of another over. Nokia just going for the 2 runs off that one, and it is 11 for 1 for the West Indies. I think Nathan Lyon's just got another wicket. It's been given out. Umesh might review it. He also might not. Currently, India leading by 67 runs in that test match. A lot of school students in attendance for this game as well, which is pretty awesome. The fact that they're able to get the kids to the ground, watching their heroes playing. And who knows, maybe one day they may find themselves out there on the pitch as well. Can a real cricket pitch can be prepared locally in a park or ground for a match? Which soil they use, says coding. Are we talking in India or just in general? Real cricket pitch, because I know that they've got drop-in pitches at a few of these grounds, like they prepare the pitch somewhere else, and it's normally, to be honest, it's normally in some sort of paddock somewhere or some sort of controlled area where they can't have people interfering with it. Done well to duck under that, Chanderpaul. Oh, it's actually missing the wicket, so it's gonna be not out for Nathan Lyons. LBW attempt there, great ball again from Rabada, just getting it to move across the eye line of Chanderpaul, and then it just comes back in nicely, making it tricky, but he's done well to be able to avoid that bouncer, even though it only went up to about chest height, which I think did end up confusing Chanderpaul quite a bit. Big swing from India. It's gonna be a 6. Great shot. No, it's not. It's gonna be caught by Cameron Green. No, he's saying it's a 4. No, he's saying it's a wicket. It is gonna be Nathan Lyon's next wicket as well for that matchup. Chanderpaul now sitting on 3 off 18. The thing is, they've got two full days. As you can see there, 248 possible overs to go in this test match, which is absolutely massive. So all they need is 1 run per over for the rest of the overs that they've got remaining, and they win. So time's no issue at all for the West Indies. It was supposed to be the easiest day to bat on day 2, I thought. But it seems like it's actually gonna be the easiest day to bat was the first day, day 1. I don't know how it's gonna go later on in this test match. Still looking quite dry in the outfield, so maybe might speed up a little bit more the more time that it spends in the sun. Doesn't really favour the batsman. Nicely whipped off the pads by Chanderpaul, well fielded by Nokia, keeps it to 1. And it's saying that New Zealand and South Africa played 133 times. Here's Yanri. Arifa. 8 off 18. He had a good first innings, like I mentioned, him, and also we did see quite a good effort from Jermaine Blackwood. And can your voice hold up on all those overs, mate? Says Nazzy Williams. Probably not. So it's lucky we aren't quite covering all of them. Instead, tomorrow we jump into Super Rugby. Oh, it's the edge, and it's taken. The wicket of Reefer. Rabada gets his man, and that is his second wicket for South Africans. Brilliant delivery, and I mentioned about it. Patience is a virtue, and the West Indian number 3, he decided he wanted to have a go at a cover drive to a half volley outside of off stump that he had to chase, and he'll be disappointed with that one. Looking at this ball, it was always going across him. That is an easy leave, but instead he decided to drive, found the outside edge. Great take from Klaasen behind the stumps, and does manage to take it beautifully for the South Africans. Now Lion has 7 wickets, or well, Lion has 7 wickets. New Zealand has a better record than the West Indies, with a 25% win record against South Africa. Here's Yarni now. Raymond Reefer, 8 runs for him. Unfortunately, did get off to a decent start, and I jinxed him by saying he was going pretty well. What a stunner of a catch from Steve Smith. Smith Pajara, yeah, that one-handed screamer in the slips. And now India find themselves 9 down. They've got Saraj and also Axar at the crease. He'll be a decent bat, Axar. But last time these two were at the middle, I believe Axar ran out Saraj, didn't he, trying to take a quick single? They shouldn't do that again, though, I wouldn't be thinking. The last wicket falling just a little bit ago. As you can see, the West Indies, they still need 235 runs to win. Another line that they should have there is South Africa. They need 8 wickets to be able to win this test match. Currently 12:06 here in New Zealand. The session will be ending at 1:40 a.m. Then from there, we'll decide what our plan is. We're going to be getting up relatively early tomorrow morning, but we might see a result. We may stick around for a little bit longer and just be a bit more sleep deprived by the weekend. But sport comes first, sleep comes second. And a 31-year-old Jermaine Blackwood now at the middle. Best is 112 not out. Got that. That would actually put them a long way towards it. But why do you think Australia is so dominant in sports? 6 Cricket World Cups and 2 Rugby World Cups, says Jan Runel. I think it's just because Australians from a very young age are pretty much put in the scenario of which sport would you like to play? When you're very young, whether that's gonna be football, whether that's rugby, whether that's cricket, whether that's hockey, netball, basketball, anything like that. Australia are just kinda known as a sporting nation, and they've also got that little bit of fieriness of, "We wanna win." So we always, like, see Australians training hard. And I think because so many people get behind Australian sport, oh, that's at the armour, Chanderpaul. That one I felt too nice. Stayed down for a little bit longer as well. Nokia being a brutal fast bowler at the moment. Yeah, just because there's so much interest in sport in Australia, and I guess that helps the teams get funding, that helps get the training scenario set up so that you can keep on training these young guys to then make their way into the international stage. Because that's the thing with Australia's size, I'm trying to work out they aren't the largest population when it comes to cricket or anything along those lines. But they just seem to be able to get numbers into those sporting. I think they had to nip out to jet to a teacher, another wicket. There's Josh Pike. Yeah, it was a great take from the wicket keeper, whose name I want to say is Simon Harmer, but it's not. That's the spin bowler. I've just forgotten the keeper's name, unfortunately for him. And I just said it as well. It's because I can test after how well he was playing in a recent series. New Zealand is soft in cricket, but not in rugby. Here's Yanri now. I mean, soft's a bit rough. Are you saying currently or in all time? Because like New Zealand have had some pretty good spells throughout their cricketing careers. Yes, the World Cup is always one that they haven't quite been able to get to in certain formats, but like New Zealand, I guess, are similar to Australia in that regard of people here love watching sport. And also, Kiwis are soft in nature, not in place, is coding. Yeah, some would say that a lot of Kiwis are just too nice, and we just beat England, says Nazzy Williams. And a very good fight. And that was probably the most fight New Zealand have had in a test match in a long time, which is great to see. And you hope it continues and that they're willing to keep on pushing it. You want to make sure that you're in it for the whole 5 days. You're not giving up at any stage. I mean, look at Australia here. They went 2 down up against India, and now like they find themselves in a situation where they could actually walk away with a victory. And the test nicely worked off the pads by Blackwood for his first delivery at the crease. Be able to work it away for a nice easy two. Got it by Kutsia. Must be nice living in a country of 5 million people. There's Yanri. Yeah, it is good. Like at the end of the day, you can go out down the street where we are anyway, and you could see no one. You just go for a walk, and you might see one car go past at some stage. The open space, places to move around, and it's just very nice. Again, New Zealand won the series against Sri Lanka. You think he's coding? It's going to be a tricky one. Sadly, we can't cover any of that series, as you guys know why. Some of you guys who have stuck around for a while. It's going to be nicely played by Blackwood, although didn't have to play it. That's the other side of things. They don't have to go after the wide balls, whereas it looks like they want to, and that makes me concerned. And I love that. There's Nazzy Williams there as well. And people mistake playing fair and in the correct spirit with being soft. Keep doing it the right way, New Zealand, says Joss. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes it can get misconstrued. Is that the word? Joss, you're a teacher. You'll know whether I use that in the right context. But yeah, like at the end of the day, you look at something like the Cricket World Cup final up against England. I know Kiwis hate when people mention this, but like it could have been so easy for New Zealand to be like, "Oh, it's unluck like, we got screwed out of the final and we should have won." That's a great drive from Chanderpaul. Straight drive, a little bit lofty, but no one there to field it. Does get himself a 4. Like, they could have gone, "Nah, this is rubbish," but instead, like, the Kiwis themselves were like, "We got beaten." Like, at the end of the day, the better side in England won. They took their chances, they made the most of it, and we'll try and beat them in the next one. The chemistry teacher don't throw misconstrued at me, says Joss Pike. Yeah, to be fair, I probably have no right to be using that word. While us here in South Africa live with 60 plus million people, 98 percent is not your nationality group, says Yanri now. And not, oh, I love not much population, orcs too many people, says Nazi Williams. And Hamish, do you see a lot of sheep than people when you go outside? Not like on the streets, but in fact, no, there was a sheep on the street the other week when we were driving, just walking along like a walking track, just on the side of the road. Sheep just chilling. But like there's a lot of sheep around. Cattle is actually one that has grown quite a bit for the Kiwis. What a peach of a delivery that was. Rabada's bowling extremely well. They won't want to take him out of the attack. He's currently bowled, he's going into his 5th over currently, sitting 3 balls down in it. If he can get through like 7 overs, I think he's going to pick up another wicket here. He's just doing so well with that line and length. Just outside of off stump, lure the batsman into playing and just get it to drift across him beautifully. The ball from Rabada, shorter, back foot punch, not a lot of foot movement from Chanderpaul, other than, of course, when he's getting himself set. It's another single. Just wondering. So they've got Rabada and Nokia bowling currently. You've got Kutsia, and then you probably go to Janssen. So it's interesting that Janssen didn't get the opening chance. And I'm starting a Facebook. Aucklanders immigrate to Waimea. Don't smile yet, Hamish, says Nazi Williams. No, you shouldn't send them to Waimea. We're like pretty good at the moment. Send them to like Timaru or somewhere. Timaru actually needs a bit of something on the main street. We were talking about this, me and George, the other night when we were driving down. Like they've got a really nice setup on the main street. You can't really go into any buildings because it's nighttime. Like and everywhere's closed. But compared to somewhere like a Wanaka, that's quite a tourist I can't use words now, destination. But then that's also because they've got the lake as an option right next to where it's all set up. But I feel like Timaru, if they had a little bit more of something on the main street, it would be nice to see a bit more liveliness. What's the meaning of Aotearoa in New Zealand? Aotearoa is actually it pretty much does mean New Zealand. I guess that's the easiest way of putting it. And was this time last night, Chanderbolt Jr. was batting now second innings. Yep. How quickly a test match can progress. When I left off the live stream, West Indies were about 60 for 1. Ended up getting bowled out for 212. Must be nice to own a farm knowing nothing what happened to you in New Zealand, says Yanri. Although we don't actually, or I don't personally have a farm. In terms of like, we just got our nice backyard that we're lucky enough to have. Like, you can play backyard cricket in it, and it's like big enough that you don't break windows straight away, which is lovely. Do you guys in New Zealand have a six stack of electric fences, reinforced doors in your house, or no? Says Yanri now. So six stack of electric fences, not sure, but I know that like the thing is, electric fences here in New Zealand are used to keep animals in their area, which is, I guess, what we use them for 99% of the time here in New Zealand. Reinforced doors, like, you got locks on your doors, but depends on what region you're in. Like, there's some real dodgy regions around. How big is your house, Hamish? Is it comfortable to live with 3 people? I'd say so. Like, it's got a lounge, which I used to be in for my YouTube setup. We got the dining room, which I'm in currently, but I'm kind of off to the side, so that's all right. So I'm not really in anyone's way. Got a long hallway, which I always used to think would be great for cricket, but wasn't allowed to play with a cricket ball in the hallway. Probably reasonable request from my parents. Chugga Paul sitting on 10 runs currently off 30 deliveries. Janssen into the bowling attack, so they weren't able to get the extra couple out of Nokia. That's probably fair enough. He's a big quick. You want to make sure that you're only giving him short bursts of action. Here comes Marco Janssen. Short ball. Oh, Chanderpaul. It's gone straight up in the air and it's taken. And Janssen gets the wicket at Chanderpaul. The West Indies going to be 3 down. It's actually Nokia who was able to take the catch. Ended up sliding in beautifully. It's every house have 6 stack electric fences and reinforced doors with bulletproof windows. There's Yari now. But no solar panels. Not a lot of solar panels from what I heard from someone else. Because they were saying about when it's load shedding, like only a very few amount actually do have like solar power. But then I would think that like bulletproof windows and whatnot surely cost a lot more when it comes to the like house cost type thing in general than panel. Nokia ended up flipping over and somehow avoiding breaking his glasses, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about. I have no idea why my phone has decided to send me every notification from the past 4 weeks throughout this live stream. It was broken for a start. A great shot from Axar. I believe he was able to get that one away to the boundary. No, because they will steal it right off your roof. There's Yanri. So what you're saying is you've also got to put the fence around it. Strategy. Try and grab it, zap the little fellas. In fact, attach the zapping netting to the solar panel. Then you don't have to pay for the power of it. We've got an electrified fence up here in Auckland. They out respectfully. There's Nazi Williams. Yeah, like I would say that like New Zealand, some regions are safe enough. You can even leave a door open at night time. But you just got to know the region that you're in and know kind of whether or not you're secure where you are. Like we wouldn't leave our door open at night time just because even though we're from a small town, there are a few dodgy people in this town. Pretty sure someone deals drugs off my street. It's not me, but I'm pretty sure they do. And it's about there, down that way. Not going to say how many houses. And he's exactly. Says Yari now and Dan Chanderbolt Jr. I like that dude. He's a nice guy by the looks of it and also a very talented batsman. It's a shame that he's out, and now they've actually sent out Roston Chase. So he gonna be up there as the 5th batsman, Axar Patel, and in crucial runs, 100 will be tough for Australia. Chase. Exactly right. And I mentioned it before. I said that XR is a good bet. Can't get him out. They've got to make sure they get Siraj bowled him straight through Roston Chase, the golden duck. And Janssen takes the off peg straight out of the ground. He's going to be on a hat trick. The Windies are 4 down. They need someone to stick around, and that was not Roston Chase. One ball. Goodbye. It's a bavuma, unfortunately. On Park Murray Islands, no racist. There's Nuzzy Williams. No matter what region you live in South Africa, if you leave your door open, you won't see the next sunrise. There's Yari now. But Janssen getting it to drift across, and that's what we call a bad leave. Now, unlucky a little bit, came back in a bit more to Goldie. There's Nuzzy Williams. Worst thing is that's the kind of ball I'm gonna get bowled on Saturday. I'm gonna have to try and block it, of course, but the side that we're playing in the semi-final, they are no joke. They've got players coming back from an Australian competition to join up with them to take part in the semi-final. They haven't actually played throughout the rest of the season. Now that it's semi-final, they're like, "Right, we'll travel back from Australia just to try and help our side get through." Why is that all of a sudden so loud in my ears? Okay, never mind. It is still the same. It was just a very loud noise. Golden duck. There's Nuzzy Williams. Yeah, I'm hoping I don't end up with the Goldie on the Saturday. I've found out that I am gonna be opening though, so that's gonna be a challenge and a half. I have opened a few times in the past for the team, but I believe the game that I scored most of, in fact, no, I think it was actually when I opened. See how it goes for me. And that is gonna be just before Super Rugby. It's actually crazy no matter how much protection you put on your house, they'll find a way to get in. There's Yanri now. You wonder how, like, you know the movie Home Alone? Like Macaulay Culkin, or what was his name in that? Um, the little fella, little um, something. I can't remember the guy's name now off Home Alone. But if he tried to do that in South Africa, I feel like it would be rather than a movie of him protecting the house. Kevin McAllister. There we go. It hit me head in the noggin. But Janssen went for the hat trick, and it was a good delivery, but kept out for the West Indies. This is where they need to try and build back in. Do you have any fight incident with random people in New Zealand? Me personally, no. I'm not a very confrontational nor aggressive person, so they kind of go, "He's not going to hurt me because he won't hurt a fly." But then some people, I mean, they could target that. I don't know, but yeah, I haven't had any confrontations with anyone ever that it's got to the stage of them being like, "I kind of want to punch you." I had an old best friend in about maybe year 2, so when you're about 6 or 7 years old at school. He was my best friend at the time, and we ended up not being best friends anymore because I wouldn't give him one of my All Blacks rugby cards because I only had one of them. So then he packed the sad and said, "Nah, we're not friends anymore because you wouldn't give me your rugby card." So I was like, "All right, but look what I've got. I've got this rugby card." I don't think I actually did. I probably went, "Oh, it's unfortunate." Look at the South African government. What happens? Yeah, you will laugh like you never laughed before. There's yada yada. I don't really dive into anything like that. Like, I hardly even know what's happening on, like, down the road from yourself, let alone, like, what's happening in the world in general. It's hard to believe. Looking at your nature says coding. Yeah, see, I don't think I've got, like, an aggressive bone in the body, which yeah. I mean, it's a good thing, really, but then in some situations, it's probably not the best thing to have. Like, in cricket, I'm too nice. I know this already. If I'm batting and I accidentally, like, of course, I don't aim for their fielders, but if I hit it and it hits one of their fielders in, like, the foot or something, straight away I'm like, "Oh, sorry." And then it actually happened in one of the games recently. I did a cut shot and the guy was in it kind of like a shortish point, about 5 meters away from the bat, ended up getting hit in the leg and went, "Ah." I was like, "Sorry." And he was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm supposed to get hit when I'm here." Oh, he's gone after it, Blackwood. Decided not to waste any time. couple bounces, and that's going to be 4 runs. Deciding he wants to try and take Rabada out of the bowling attack. I mean, people put bulletproof window and bulletproof seal on their cars, and when they come back, their car is gone. Like how? Says Yanri now, and Australia will win. Says Ryan, and I was from Ryan as well. And how's Smith's Aussies going versus India currently? India sitting 163 for 9, trailing by 75 runs, or sorry, leading by 75 runs, I should say. I see worked again off the pads by Blackwood. I think this partnership with him and Mayers is going to be very important. It's interesting that they sent Roston Chase in before Mayers, though, because he went out first ball, so that was unfortunate, of course. But yeah, it seemed like a weird choice. And congratulations to England beating Bangladesh. Here's a Ryan. I learned actually, Ryan. I know you mentioned about me doing the commentary for those games, but they haven't actually got the coverage here in New Zealand, sadly. We can't actually watch them, which is a big shame. And Mayers on strike again. Oh, it's hit him on the pad. Or Abada liked it, but I think it was going over the top. India all out in 163. There's Ryan. And Dan Test cricket again is spicy. Amish says Elon. It's so weird, isn't it? We've gone from a day 5 thriller between New Zealand and England to now Australia versus India will probably almost be over by the start of day 3. West Indies versus South Africa is going to end up being out early and done and dusted by the end of probably day 3 or midday 3 as well. Or sorry, midday 4, I think we might get to if the West Indies survive today. And it's streaming in Fanco Pay website. I don't think we can get that here in New Zealand, unfortunately. Lyon got his 8th wicket. Says Beds Ablaze. It should stop giving you all the bad in South Africa. It should rather talk about the good in South Africa. Says Yanri. Will you give you maybe a little praise to your cricket team, Yanri? Just a little one, saying that they haven't done too bad with their bowling attack here. As a saucy old game test screen, it says Elon. And New Zealand can see in Sky Sports, says Ryan. It actually doesn't come up for me on Sky Sports when I looked on the guide. It's got this test match, it's got the other test match, but yeah, like looking through my app with where to watch, it didn't have Sky as one of the options, unfortunately. The wickets, you can see there that first one of Brathwaite really hurt the West Indies as they only needed to get through 6 balls to be able to go into the lunch break. It was after bowling out South Africa. Now Janssen currently sitting on 2 wickets, not a single run off him. And Neil Wagner, one of the most underrated bowlers of all time, says Elon. I mean, I think people know how good Wagner is. But it's just more of the case of he's been shadowed or overshadowed by the likes of a Bolt or a Southey for the Kiwis, who normally get the wickets, whereas Wagner's the one who's bowled 15 overs to help create the chance to get that wicket. And sometimes ends up getting it himself as well. Now, Marco Janssen again charging in, whipped off the pads nicely by Blackwood. It's like he's going to be the more aggressive out of all the bowlers. Hamish, do you love to use Apple devices such as iPhone and iPad, or Android you prefer? I have got Apple devices. I used to have a Samsung phone, and then it got to the point of when that phone started not to work. Because I actually got that phone. I didn't have a cell phone till I was about maybe 15 or somewhere around there. Like, and that wasn't because I wasn't allowed one. It's just because I didn't really feel a need to have one. So it was when I ended up getting my first job that I ended up getting like a phone that I actually was decent. Like I had those little ones that you flip phone and all that when I was younger, but like the first actual phone was probably when I turned about 15. Then I went on and got this iPhone, which was a little bit rough as the screen is a bit busted in terms of little glitches. And then I also bought this one, which is a slightly newer one, but as you can see by the screen, it has multiple cracks in it, but I didn't buy it for its microphone. I didn't buy it to actually use it as a phone. I bought it purely as a second camera angle because I got it extremely cheap. So I thought might as well add it as another camera angle and a backup camera. Yeah, they have done brilliant for down for 25, making yesterday's collapse of South Africa team more understandable. There's Yanri. There we go. Bit of positivity. I had my first PSP when I was 6, when I was in Durban, says Yanri now. PlayStation Portables used to be pretty handy, didn't they? I remember going on an Antarctic Centre trip for year 7 of school, and I had a Nintendo DSi XL. Anyone who knows what that is. So I was taking pictures on that. Those pictures are actually somewhere, but I will not dig them up for this stream. And true, bro, here you respect. There's Elon. I think this partnership's the big one for the West Indies. If they don't end up with it getting broken by the end of the session, West Indies have a real good chance of closing out the day without the match ending. If one of these two is dismissed relatively soon, it's going to be very tricky for the West Indies to be able to fire back, as they will then find themselves near the tail. Well, that's a rough ball from Janssen, almost wide enough to be considered a wide, but I think it's just going to be a dot ball, and that will be the end of the over, 26 for 4. So strange that you're not having phone until 15. Are you not having interest for phone, says Coding? Yeah, like, I can't even remember what my phone was before that one. But it was more just a case of, like, I didn't need one. Because the only reason I got one really, like I mentioned, was because I got a job. So I decided, well, I might need one just because they'll need a mobile number and whatnot if they want to text me at any point. So that seemed like the time to get it. But other than that, like when you're going to school as well, you just like anyone who I needed to text, I could see at school the next day. Or anyone that I needed to get in contact with, like the likes of Isaac, would just ring him or something along those lines. Like it was just easier than texting. But then once I got into texting, like I've never been a big texter though. I actually only send about maybe 20 to 30 texts a month, which is why I don't even have a phone plan because I don't send enough to make it worth it. Charging in quits, yeah. First ball, that's a terrible shot choice from Blackwood. That is one that you really need to think about. And that's where Mayers at the other end kind of needs to walk down and say, look, mate, that's not the shot we need to be playing. And just come back for USA and walked in the cauldron. So hot in South Africa, says Ian Rinel. Has there ever been a national sporting team so desperate and thirsty to prove their own self-worth as an Indian cricket team? No age cricket, says Fluffy there. Yeah, India, they do not have a huge amount of runs on the board here up against the Australians, but Australia's still a tough task to be able to chase down those about 70 to 80 runs they'll require. And also, Hamish Bro, tomorrow Australia will chase them before 3-day and lunch, says Ryan. Yeah, because they started at 5 p.m., didn't they? So 5 p.m. to 7, 7:40 to 9:40, 10 to, yeah, so it's day over at the moment for them. But Australia tomorrow should have a decent crack. I don't think they'll get in the first. Oh, they could get in the first session. We might even be able to cover that game if anyone is keen for India versus Australia, that final session of the match. Those brothers stumps, says Ryan. But Gerald Coetzee got 2 wickets. To be honest, the pitch is so pathetic. ICC must give demerit points, says Coding. Right, Coetzee, he's dropped a man to deep point. There's a deep fine leg. I think they've still got the 3 slips in a gully. Line has 8 wickets, says Ryan. So yes, definitely a spinner's surface. Leg side. Oh, great take. But I don't believe it's out. Just off the pads. And you think any Aussie team will get a win in Super Rugby against New Zealand teams this weekend or in general, Yanri? Because I think yes. It'll take a bit of time just to get, I guess, gelled. You missed my chat. Which one? I think I read the stumps one. I read the Lion got 8 wickets one, and I also read the chasing it down Ryan. So I think I got all of them, unless one of them didn't come through. That is. I do talk quick, so sometimes people think that I've missed their message, but really I've just answered it very quickly. Good see another slightly short ball. Nicely worked away by Blackwood, and they will secure a nice easy single. It's the first run that Kutsia has ended up going for. Showing this delivery down the leg side. Ended up hitting the leg. Could have easily been 4 leg bites, but brilliant take from the South African keeper there. Right. Mayer's yet to get himself a run. Oh, no, no, no. The West Indies are going after every ball, and it's going to cost them soon. Mayers thought that there was a gap open, which there was, but that ball was way too wide. I have seen you as the first content creator on YouTube which reads all messages. He's going, I try my best. I do sometimes miss a few in quicker live streams, but the thing that some people don't know is when I start missing messages, what I'll more than likely do is after the live stream, if I haven't got another one, and once the chat replay is loaded, I'll actually go back and read those messages that I missed just to kind of see what people were saying at that point. Or like, I always feel bad if someone asks a question and I don't get to answer it. So sometimes I might, if I see them again, I'll answer the question that they asked on the previous one. And also, I taught the West Indies, well, I thought the West Indies was one country, but it's a number of islands like Barbados and Jamaica. Says Yanri now, exactly right. Which is why their national anthem is actually kind of designed for cricket, which is quite cool. And also, we have got there, don't listen to negative people, Hamish. Don't talk too quick. You just you, says Nazi Williams. Yeah, because we did used to get it a lot earlier on in our live streaming journeys. People would always say you're talking too fast. But then we went through a patch of after about 1,000 subscribers, no one even really mentioned it, which is, I mean, good news in some regards. But we always take the constructive criticism. Anytime I try and talk slow, I just speed up again. Oh, shot. Beautifully played down the ground. Blackwood's going to stay aggressive in that one. Races to the boundary. Straight past the bowler. Good evening, Hamish. How's it going? All is good on my side. Is Blues and 8. Welcome in. I hope you are doing well, mate. How is your injury coming along, mate? You feeling any better? Let me know. And 22,000 people agree. And Hamish, bro, you see, well, you can see in Willow TV of USA Sports. Is right. It's a familiar name when it comes to our copyright scenarios in the past. Not the copyright strike, but a different one. Kiro Blues says Nazi Williams. And Kiro Nazi Williams is a Nate. I'm still annoyed because every single time that I end up hurting myself, or every single time that I end up running in cricket, I hurt my groin. And some of you guys will know this, but I'm pretty much about as unfit as you can get. So every time I hurt the groin, it hurts that little bit more, and I think I tear it that little bit more. So I am dreading Saturday if I have to run anywhere. Oh, that's a nice ball. And 2K, 22K subs. There's a lot. Only two channels has more. 2 cents in Squid Rugby. Says Yarny now. Although in the cricketing, or sorry, not the cricketing, the rugby world, I think there's also, you've got Forever Sports, fellow South African Yarny that you missed there. And then also, is there another fella? Well, I guess it depends on what you consider as well, because like you've got the Rugby Pod or one of those ones, Rugby Pass, all those ones that are a bit bigger, and also, of course, like Super Rugby's channel, All Blacks channel. Nice and solid behind Amish, bro. Who win the second England or Bangladesh tomorrow? I mean, England's put in a very good showing for that first one, so you'd say that momentum wise, they should be able to take out the second. But I'd like to see Bangladesh fire back in, get themselves the win, and brought up all good at training last night. Still slow though, ready to play on Sunday. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, so hopefully you go all right on the Sunday. You have to let us know how it goes. We'll probably be live most of Sunday, Saturday, and Monday. So I'm sure we'll get to see it. So, oh, no, sorry. That was very loud, but I thought that actually cleaned up his middle stump. It didn't. He hit it with the bat. Loud as well. I need to settle myself down getting too excited. I thought it was a ripper of a Yorker. Forget about Forever Sports. He's going, do you not like him? Why don't you like him? He works hard. He's got a lot of stuff going on, doesn't he? Oosh Capitals, says Nazi Williams. And Bangladesh won the series, says Ryan. Nice and solid again. Hello, chats. Hope everyone's been doing well. along with all other cultures, respect, says Nazi Williams. And yeah, Hamish, you know quite a few Māori and Pacific Islanders love your stuff, eh? Says Nazi, which is one of the reasons why I'm very curious what would happen if I went to a game in Fiji or Samoa or somewhere around there, like just to see if anyone recognizes us, which I think they might. And I feel like that would be quite an awesome feeling just because at the end of the day, they've probably gotten to know us from watching our live streams. Like we have done hours and hours of streaming. In fact, I would safely say in the rugby content community type thing, we've probably done the most hours of live streaming. And that's not in an arrogant way. That's not trying to brag or anything like that. That is just we've spent a lot of time in this chair over the last 3 years. And I've been fully committed to it. Every hour that I get to do something to do with the channel, I'm doing it, whether that is editing, whether that is getting stuff organized, whether that's even just planning videos that never end up happening. Just little things where I won't make a jersey to keep safe jokes, says Nazi Williams. Mm. Tell you what I do want to do though. If I ever got a customized jersey for a rugby team, I want to put the Kiwi lads on the back. Or Kiwi lads, I guess, instead. A lot of URC this weekend, gonna do any of them. I'm planning on doing both URC South African derbies. Now I know I missed it last week, and I know that you noticed I missed it last week. Catch him, easy wicket. Mayers has gone for a duck. Kutsia picks up the wicket. West Indies are not playing this one very sensible at all. Now 5 down for 33. I wonder what the lowest score the West Indies have ever had up against the South Africans, because they might also set the record for their final innings here. But yeah, the plan is to do the 2 URC games for the South African sides. Yeah, last weekend, we just didn't quite get to make it happen. It was squeezed a little bit more than we would have liked. I didn't get as much preparation done as I wanted to. Tomorrow's going to be a big prep day for me in terms of getting everything ready for the weekend, whether that's thumbnails, getting lineups done, little things like that. 3 ODIs and 3 T20s will be shown on the ECB website as well as Sky Sports, says Ryan. And bugger, they play like T20, says Nazi. Yeah, they're just not being sensible. It's as if they think that this is the last day and this is the last session and they have to score runs. Like that one was a nothing shot. It was out there, out wide. And at this stage of the innings, when the ball's still swinging, best thing to do is just leave that ball. You don't want to risk it. But instead, he tried to do a ramp shot and went straight into the hands of first slip. It's kind of like when you're training and you know you've got the guy throwing the ball at the like guy who's just batting and hitting it catches to your team, and then the one who throws it from that angle and he ends up just gliding it to the guy who's at the other side. That's literally what he did. Just a nice, easy, stock standard catch. I'm kind of hoping that on Saturday no catches come my way. I've put down a few over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I have a beautiful, lovely habit of catching the ball with this part of my hand, which is why I had a bruise down there for a while. I had a bruise around there for a while because apparently this part is not usable. All in there would be absolutely fine. Patient comes into play. I suck at it. Just saying, says Nuzzy Williams. I'm sometimes too good at it, I think. It's like my innings when I got 3 off 22 balls. That was the case of too much patience and too much, like, I guess, not enough aggression. And ever since then, I think I've completely changed the way that I bat. In terms of I'll still keep that good ball out, but I'm a lot more aggressive with the shots that I'm going to try and play. If it's outside of off stump and it's a hit me ball, I'm not going to just leave it. I'm going to actually try and smack it. And you can see an ECB website tomorrow, Bangladesh versus England. There's a Ryan. Yeah, we're up against some tough boys. Like I mentioned a bit earlier on, the side we're playing in the semi-finals, they have brought over players who were in a tournament in Australia. They're coming back just to play this game of cricket. So it's like, it's going to be tough, but even getting to the semi-finals is massive for our side. Like we went from making it to the semi-finals in the last competition because there were 4 teams, and now in a 6-team competition making it to the semi-finals because we've been able to get ourselves a few victories. So I feel like that's an awesome feeling for our team. And yeah, hopefully we're able to deliver in the semi-final. And even if we don't somehow, if we don't get the win, as long as we put in a showing and show some sort of improvement. My fingers slipped. And also we have got that rabbit hold sports, says Ryan. If you would bet against the South Africa bowling team, how much runs would you make? 0, bowling phenomenally at the moment. Everything just outside of the off stump, skidding through beautifully, making that ball move away. So yeah, I don't think I get many. I might get a lucky edge that goes through the slip cordon. Oh, also, for anyone wondering, I mentioned about this from yesterday's cricket training. Some of you would have seen about it, how I was mentioning how I got hit on the hand, and for some reason, it's a bit too zoomed in, but along here, it ended up with a line of dots. That was where I got hit. You can kind of see it a bit better from out there. There was this line of red where it's now trying to bruise, but I worked out that's actually the pattern on the inside of my left hand glove. So it pretty much just tattooed my hand. Bro uses website to see Bangladesh versus England tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got Super Rugby as well, though, Ryan, I should mention. We are going to be covering. Yako has said hi, welcome in. Anyways, win or lose, going to enjoy the sports. Exactly right. Like, I've met so many people this year, which I feel like I'm extremely happy about. Kutsia, nicely played by De Silva, because, like, when I used to play cricket, this is 10 years ago. So a lot's changed in that time. I can grow facial hair now. But back then, I was too shy slash not talkative enough to actually really say anything to anyone. Whereas now, like, I've been talking to players flat out. I get out to the middle, just have a chat with random people, whether it's the umpire if I'm fielding at square leg or anything along those lines. And you just get to know a lot more people. And I feel like as soon as you start bringing the social side of things into it, the pressure of batting actually goes away, or it at least minimizes, I find, which is something I needed because normally when I used to play, and also my first couple games, normally the occasion was the thing that got to me a little bit in terms of getting too nervous to bat to my potential. But now that I'm a lot more chilled out at the crease, I feel like that helps. And now you can talk all day, says Rudy. That is true. And who would you pick for the South African cricket team, says Rudy? I would say, wait, to have to, or wait, is that to bring into our team, Rudy, or what's the question? De Silva is white in the West Indies team. I wouldn't say he's white. I think he's a mix of, they say that his mum was from Barbados, maybe? Well, that one's drifted across from Janssen, was a dot ball. And also we have got there, Sunday is my birthday, says Yako. So hopefully you do enjoy your birthday. You got any plans for it, Yako? They have a Bri packs. That's quite a popular. And to your team, right? So if I had to pick one South African player to bring into our team, I'd probably go with Rabada, to be honest, because he offers that little bit with the bat, but he also bowls very well with the ball in hand. And then if I had to pick a batsman, I'd probably go Markram at the moment with how he's going. That was the back leg, but it's going to be bouncing over the top of the stumps. Okay, Blues. Yeah, Ryan. Hi, lads. After soon, can you check your Discord, please? Says Yarnlu. I will give it a look. I haven't actually got my Discord on notifications at the moment, mainly because during one of the other live streams that I was doing, I got a whole heap of phone calls during one of the matches, so that made it quite difficult because I didn't have it open, so it just keep on ringing and ringing and ringing. So I ended up putting myself on do not disturb, so I don't actually know when people are sending messages. Yeah, now I see is born in Trinidad. There's Jan Rinel and Sunday 25-year-old. There's Yaka, a couple of years older than myself. You do celebrate it big time. Fielded in close from De Sorzi again. Silva yet to get off the mark. Blackwood sitting on 15 off 20, so he's not really allowing South African bowling attack to tie him down at one end, but I'm worried that that's going to end up with a wicket falling because he's going to be too aggressive. And yes, but I Sunday. There's Yako, nice one. Aaron, bro. Please make IPL stream. Ryan, when does the IPL actually start up, Ryan? I assume it's relatively soon. Short ball chases after it, but he has been able to slash that one away nicely. And Blackwood does get the boundary. 19 runs he's now sitting on. You're 5 years older than me, Hamish. Says Yanri. Makes he 18, Yanri, I believe. Short and wide from Janssen. Not really the ball, but it's probably fair enough because a lot of the West Indian players have gone out that way. And in March, says Ryan, and Shane Warne versus Miraliferin, which is greatest bowler according to you. Well, it's quite tricky, isn't it? Shot. Another beautiful cover drive from Blackwood. It was almost a half volley, and he made Janssen pay for it. 2 boundaries in a row. Just 219, says Janri. Yeah, like comparing a leg spinner to an off spinner is like comparing carrots to potatoes in regards of they're very different. So it's like both very good in their own rights, but to compare someone who can make the ball spin that much that way and someone who can make the ball spin that much that way is very tricky. Because that's pretty much like saying, do you like off spin or leg spin better? And good at Titans have Kane Williamson March 31st as Chennai Super Kings. See, the IPL is always a competition that I wanted to be able to cover, but it's always like overlapping with certain kind of other sporting events, whether it is the URC, Six Nations, Super Rugby as well, we have been covering, so that makes it tricky, the NRL. And Murray action was questionable, Warner's clear action, says Coding. Then saying that, I guess you could say if Miralifer and bold leg spin, maybe it would have looked natural. It's a different motion with the arm, isn't it? When you're bowling off spin, it's hard to do because of how close the camera is, but when you're bowling off spin, you're going around and you kind of I don't have room. I got it straight on my arm, kind of going like that. Whereas leg spin, you kind of, you're using this part that way. Whereas off spin, you're kind of using it more that way. Do you know the University Belgium campus? No, not at all. It's there. The bowling attack again. 1 wicket, 2 runs so far off his bowling, but that wicket's the more important one. De Silva yet to get himself off the mark. West Indies, they do sit 5 down. There's still actually another session left in today's game. So today's play, we've seen 36 overs, 11 wickets falling. Now De Silva on strike again. Oh, down the leg side. Were you dropping the South African team? To be honest, I don't think you can drop any of the bowlers really, because all of them have done pretty well, and they've actually all done well with the bat as well. But more than likely, they'll probably drop one of their quick bowlers just because they'll be a little bit fatigued. They might end up taking out Muthusami, and you could go with Simon Harmer instead. Might be an option. But batting wise, it's tricky, isn't it? Like I always wanted to see Verena playing in South Africa, but he might have an injury at the moment, perhaps. So that is why they've got the keeper that they do. Top order wise, like I don't think you can drop Bavuma. Like, yes, he's had a terrible matchup, getting no runs on the board for his side, but you can't really drop him with his first captaincy. Or else then you're back to either putting Algar as captain, then he struggles. Um, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I do agree with the but the batsmen are the bigger weary. Yeah. So who do you drop? Markram, you can't drop. I feel he did well enough to get both spots. Um, Elgar, he got that one relatively big inning, so I think he'll probably keep his spot. Catch him! Oh, didn't quite carry to Rabada. If he was walking in, maybe could have got to that. Big weekend of footy tomorrow, URC Super Rugby plus more footy, says Nate. Exactly right. Huge weekend. And then the sevens thrown in there as well. We're going to be very busy. If Blackwood falls, it's a wrap for the test. Yeah, he's definitely the last option. I don't think Rabada walked in there. I've said it's falling way short, but I think that's a generous way of saying maybe he should have been walking in. He was standing still. I don't know whether he was supposed to walk in from that position. I think he was far enough away that he should have been. I would drop the Sawsey Actually, that's a good point. I think De Souza, unfortunately, probably loses his spot. I forgot about him in the lineup. Don't get me wrong, he went all right with the bat. He did what he needed to, but I think there's other guys up the top of the order that you could chuck in. Rassi van der Doosen, I don't know whether they'll give him a crack. There's a lot of names missing from this side, though. I think I'd keep Peterson just because he's been away for so long, and he's kind of getting back into it now, but Matsusami, I think, is the most likely drop. Unfortunately, it's almost the 2 debutants, isn't it? Do George and Isaac earn more money per month than you? He's got it. I mean, I don't know how much they make per month, for each of their jobs, but I can tell you straight away, like, even no matter what they're earning, yes, they would, but that's because I do YouTube, and then I work part-time to pay the bills so that I can keep doing YouTube. The headband at the moment supporting Kutsia in the stand. Still few in attendance for this matchup, and Klaassen says Jari now. So Klaassen's your wicket keeper, isn't he? Who would you go? Would you go Verena, or is Verena not actually available? I don't know whether there's an injury there for him. I know that they had a big list of players who missed out. In fact, can we get a list up? We'll go like this. We'll go like that. We'll go South Africa versus West Indies. We'll go to the second test match and we'll look at the squads. What we got? So the second test match, squad for South Africa, Markram, he's playing. Elgar, Peterson, Bavuma, Sawsey, Janssen, Mulder. They haven't given a crack yet, which I don't think they will. They've got Ryan Rickleton as the backup wicket-keeping option rather than Carson or Klaassen, sorry. And then you've got Nokia, Kutsia, Rabada, Maharaj, and Harmer. So it's not actually a huge squad. Do commentary of Australia versus India. Says outfit. We have considered it for the last day, seeing as Australia, they do require about that 80 runs or so. Navarrete is even worse, says Yanri now. I think he was one of the standout performers in Australia, to be honest. Like, compared to the rest of the other side, like, or the rest of his team, he was the only one who was really able to consistently score runs. Why people don't treat YouTubers as respectful profession, they say it as part-time. There's coding. Oh, it depends on the person, really. Like, some YouTubers do only work a very short amount of time. So it depends on the YouTuber because, like, some people pay editors to do their editing for them, of course, and that makes the main creator part-time, but the editor's probably closer to full-time. So, like, for us, we do it on a full-time, like, very busy basis type thing. But, like, I've always said in terms of, like, yeah, it's kind of we probably put too many hours in. And then Australia's a dead rubber game, says Yanri now. Although if Australia win it and then they win the last one, it's a drawn series. So it's kinda, it's not completely out of the woods yet, Yanri. Gotta get that positivity back. We had it earlier on, Yanri. Can we find a little bit more of it? Tell you what, say something good about Marco Jansen right now. Give me something from you, Yanri. And how's that cricket? Oh, good cricket on, says Rooster. Exactly right. South Africa bowling extremely well. They're just chasing everything. De Silva once again goes for the wide ball and tries to get it. Misses. Tried to get it in. Good, mate. Blues Nate is Cody. And also we have got the 10 out of 10 from Nate there as well. Silva sitting 0 off 13. Building very similarly to what we saw what Mayers, which was he wasn't able to get himself off the mark and then eventually ended up losing his wicket. Nicely played. Still no run for him though. Got it by Rabada at point. South Africa, you can tell that they feel there's a wicket just around the corner. How tall is Janssen? Dude, a giant out there. Yeah, I think he's about 2 meters 4, 2 meters 4 centimeters or something along those lines. He's definitely over 2 meters though. For Marco Janssen, a very tall individual, and he's still young. So he's going to keep on growing, which makes it kind of scary. And yeah, Marco Janssen, he is so young and bowls good. I imagine him in 2 or 3 years. Good stuff. I feel like we're going to slowly turn you into a positive man, Yanri. All right. I'm going to make it do a 180. But yeah, Janssen, very talented. Already getting 2 wickets. Those two West Indian supporters both have the same. Is he asleep? No, he's awake. The front guy asleep or awake? Yeah, he's awake too. That's a massive hole in that girl's jeans. Like a massive hole. Ripped jeans, I know at one point, the knee, that was the whole thigh from about the bottom to the top gone. You wouldn't want that on a breezy day, or else you get very chilly. Down 204 Oosh, and sparring partner, says Nate. Yeah, I'm still 19 years old, so still have a lot of time. That's sparring as well. Now, Kurtzia, oh, a straight delivery again. Blackwood, who's sitting on 23. He is sticking around a little bit longer for the West Indians than a lot of their other teammates. Currently only have the 42 runs on the board. Oh, I have an idea. Finish this over first. 5 balls left, but then I will ask a question, ladies and gentlemen, that I want you to answer honestly. Be sure to look out for that. 5 balls time, but Blackwood now 23 off 25. Waiting for this one from Kutsia. Tries to drive it well, taken by the big quick. Didn't quite get that one out of the middle of the bat. Came off the bottom. Near the band as well. In attendance for the South Africans. And also you see all the kids running around playing cricket. I will mention about the fact that actually none other than Craig Braithwaite, captain of the West Indies, he once was one of those children who got to come out during the national anthem. And he was actually only maybe about 6 or somewhere along those lines, got to go out there and oh, beautiful shot. Very nicely played. It will race past Janssen in the deep and another 4 runs for Blackwood. Yeah, he was one of the kids looking on at that West Indian side, and now he's actually the captain of the West Indies. Yeah, that's a very good back foot punch. I'm going to visit New Zealand in a few months with my brother. So going to come visit you, says Yarnry. Although if you are as like hot and cold as you are in the chat, does that mean one moment you'll be like, "Hamish, you're all right," and the next moment you'll be trying to punch me in the face? No, it seems to be a split. Short ball left alone that time from Blackwood. Didn't want to go after it. But yeah, looking frustrated. Going for the Stuart Broad look of having the headband on. Cobra Kai style for the youngster. I think you'll end up being in the next test match for the South Africans where you cover the full day, says Coding. More than likely, seeing as it may be over a bit earlier on. No, my brother will stop. That he is 37 years old, says Yanri. Hey, so quite an age gap between you and your brother. My phone is still buzzing. Oh, short ball, well played and well cut off by Blackwood. Some deep breaths, and there'll be a unit. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, I think the plan in my head was going to be if the West Indies were 7 down at the time that we go into the final session of the day, we will continue covering it, just mainly because the result won't be too far away, so we won't have to stay up to an absolutely random hour of the night. But at this stage, it seems like the result may not be too far away, as long as Blackwood is out soon. And Hamish hasn't revealed his address on YouTube. There's coding there. That is true, and that is also not by accident. Oh, Uppish goes over the fielder again. Rabada fields well. All my brothers are 37, 36, and 35. Says Yanri now. Oh, great throw. They're asking for it. Not taken. I guess I have a question, Yanri, but I don't want you to take it the wrong way at all. You don't have to answer it as well. But with that large gap, was it that like you were, I guess, planned as they wanted a little baby brother for the older brothers, or was it more of a like kind of thing that happened and then from there, same age as me, we are twins. Okay, so you ended up with twin sister born as well. So yeah, were you guys like the youngest siblings for the older ones for them to be able to play with? Well, not that is quite the band going around the ground at the moment. They got drums, they got trombone, they got trumpet, they got everything at the moment. Now, short ball just whipped away to the leg side from De Silva. That'll be his first runs of the day. Races to the boundary again. Nokia not able to chase it down. 8-4 so far throughout this innings. Not a huge amount, but still starting to build, and that is the 50 runs on the board for the West Indies. If these two can get a 100-run partnership from here, end up with about 150 on the board, it just intensifies this test match that little bit more. My dad is 72, mum is 60. There's Yanri now there. Dad's 72, which means you're 19. Um, 51? No, 53 it would have been, Yanri. And then that would mean that your mum was 39. No, 41. Nice. Silverstone 4 off 17 balls. Recently getting his first runs. Still a very aggressive field, though, for the South Africans. 3 slips, gully, backward point. Trying to clean up the pegs, driving beautifully. Great shot from De Silva. That time was just that little more pitched up than some of the wider deliveries he's been chasing. Raced away. Slightly over pitch. That one was always going to be racing to the boundary, unless, of course, they had a man deep out on that side, which they did not. But, I mean, as much as 2 boundaries in a row hurt, the fact that he's still willing to chase that wide one, I think, is a little bit more important to think about for South Africa. You've still got over 190 runs to work with here. Just get it up there, see if you can tempt them. Homer shining the ball here. Janssen 2 balls left of his over, maybe of his spell. They may give him a bit of a break. Yeah, when you have an age gap between your brothers who all have families, it's hard to build relationships with them. There's Yanri now. Because I guess if your brothers are 37, that means that they would have been 18 when you were born, wouldn't they? Or somewhere around there. And then they're almost at that stage of moving out, like going out on their own, whereas you're still crawling, I guess is the best way of looking at it. Yeah, so now, oh, big swing. It looks like it's gone large. Has it fallen safe? Yes, it has. I think it went all the way for 6. Beautiful shot from Blackwood. This has been a very expensive over from Janssen, so I don't think he's getting another one after this. He's sitting so far off this over, I believe they've managed to get themselves 15 runs, which is quite the impressive total. Like I said, it's no half volley, but still just went aggressive in the way that he did play the shot. Whipped off the pads there, nicely worked around the ground. This is starting to build nicely, this partnership, these two for the West Indies, and that will be the end of the over. There's a 64 for 5. So the question that I was going to ask at the end of last over, but I did slightly forget at the time. But the question is, on Saturday, I'm going to be playing in a semi-final of a cricket competition. It's going to be a tough game up against a very strong side with players returning from Australia to be able to take part. My question is, how many runs do you guys predict that I will be able to get? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to star them and then let you guys know who got closest without revealing the exact amount that I got. So be sure to put your predictions into the chat. I'll put a little note next to them so that I do remember them. And yeah, let's see if anyone can get it on the money. Hopefully, if you guys go high, it's going to be correct, rather than if you guys go low and it's correct, then it would have been a little bit rough. I should mention I'm going to be opening, so brand new ball facing up against their tough bowlers first hand. Yanri has said 20 as the prediction. Tell you what, I'd take 20 up against this side. I feel like 20 would be a good start. Decent first partnership, hopefully. Coetzee back in, well left. 50, says a man. I love a 50. Thank you for backing me to be able to get there. Hopefully, be able to do all right. The good news is we're actually going to have a GoPro on our helmet while betting. So all of your predictions, eventually, when the video comes out on the channel, you guys will be able to see the runs for yourself type thing. And they are scored. If they are scored, aim for, don't get a duck, and then from there you build your innings. Black, we're currently 36 off 30, 3 deliveries. See how the bowler whipped off his legs again, or in fact, whipped off the hip for one, down to Nokia. I think this is the partnership. They can keep this one going for a while. As you can see, they still need another 182 runs. That is no means easy, but this is day 3. The pitch, I'd like to think will be good for this day and maybe tomorrow. Those are probably the 2 best days for batting, hopefully anyway, for the West Indies, and they're able to build towards a reasonable chase here. And Silva should have bet up, says Aman. Yeah, it was confusing that they sent in Roston Chase before Mayers. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. They decided, right, Roston Chase go out there, face Janssen. That didn't go well, though. He got out first ball. But it seemed weird to change the batting one up when you're in the middle of a session and you don't have to worry about like a night watchman at that point. Blackwood and De Silva causing us trouble, says Yandri. Yeah, it's a good partnership at the moment. Both will know how important it is that they stay out there. De Silva not getting many runs in his first innings. Blackwood, he scored all right. Whipped off the legs again by De Silva. Should be able to get through for the 2, although Nokia charging around. 99 from Nate. Now, is that 99 and out, Nathan, or is that 99 not out? 99 would. I mean, that's the thing. I know it sounds weird to say, but as nice as it would be to get 100, I would take 99 every day of the week. And yes, I won't get on the honours board or anything at the local ground, but 99 should get our side somewhere towards a decent total. And Dayanti almost coming back, that is true. Be back in action relatively soon. Silva sitting on 11 of 22, like with 37 of 34. So he's actually playing a little bit of that English style of batting, which is be aggressive, not out. Appreciate that, Nate. Trying my absolute hardest. I like to think by then I'll be seeing it quite well if it got to that point. We're playing at a ground that I think is my favourite ground to never have played at, which is our local cricket ground. Because you guys have seen, oh no, you haven't. I haven't uploaded that one yet. We've played at the local high school, which is great and all, but the ground in the outfield just doesn't roll. So you've got to run everything, which of course earlier on I mentioned about like my groin being buggered. So anytime I try and run, I pretty much tear it just that little bit more. So running in the field sucks. And running between the wickets sucks even more. But the ground that we're playing at's like a really nice ground, and I hope it comes through that way on the GoPro. All we get is we get the score correct. Well, Yarnery, there are no prizes, unfortunately, but I'll be able to tell you that you were the closest, which I feel like is kind of cool, isn't it? You know? And West Indies bowling has impressed us a lot, says Iman. Yeah, Alzari Joseph doing very well, and it just shows what a bit of confidence can do for the young guy. Because in Australia, he lacked it, and it was showing in the way that he was bowling. He wasn't really steaming in, but I think the talking point definitely in that second innings was Roach. The fact that he was able to get 5 for himself, it was just a very brilliant bowling spell from that man. Nokia back into the bowling attack. That looked close to the outside edge of Blackwood. Just narrowly missed. Friday tomorrow, Super Rugby. Yes, indeed. Got 2 Super Rugby matches that we are going to be covering on the channel. Of course, depending on what time this match ends, or if the day ends, which is going to be, I believe, at 4:10 a.m. New Zealand time. is when this day can come to a close, and that would be a rough one. And in this match, West Indies bowling looked like they were making their comeback. Yeah, there were moments where they were, I guess, igniting the old school West Indies mindset. A few short balls every once in a while just to try and throw off these South Africans, and also just those nice balls outside of off stump, pitching it up, getting the South African players making mistakes. The main thing. Our Nokia charging in, left alone. Blackwood doesn't seem too keen. Oh, like they're saying, a lot of the Proteas women's side are actually in attendance for this matchup. The ladies who were runner-ups the Cricket World Cup with their pace and swing, and South Africa too, says a man. Yeah, it just seems like a very good bowling wicket, doesn't it? Compared to that first day when it looked like Markram and Algar were doing it easily. And I thought, okay, batting wicket, we're going to see probably 5 days. And then it just changed so quickly. Hard turf, on a bouncer at local cricket ground, smash it, drive the ball to the boundary. Says Nate, I'll be trying my best. It's a quick run in outfield. And also, we're playing on artificial, which does mean that the bounce is a little bit more true. I wouldn't be surprised if they bowl a few bounces off the get go, seeing as I'll have the GoPro on the head, and that's something people try and do is hit the GoPro when they get the chance. Yeah, just got to keep the good ball out. That's the main thing. A majority of our team in last week's game that I didn't actually get to bat in because I did have to leave early for Super Rugby. A lot of our team got bowled. So you got to have that mindset. Keep the good ball out, hit the bad ball. Play it out for a while. I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be a good challenge. Have you watched the PSL this year? Sadly, I haven't caught a lot of the PSL, uh, which is unfortunate because I love any competition that's happening around the world with local players and also chucking in those internationals to mix up the teams as well. Rugby Championship 2023, yes, yep, it's going to be taking place. One match per team though, rather than the two against each side. Okay, a final ball of his over. Very excited. De Silva plays it well. That'll be the end of this over 68 for 5. Got it in quite nicely. At the moment, the West Indies, 23 overs down. They've got another 240 or 40, 220-ish they are able to use. So they only really need a run or less than over if they want to bet out this match. But I don't think that's the mindset of the West Indies. Definitely not with Blackwood. As you can see, 38 off 39 deliveries. He wants to keep this game progressing and keep the scores ticking over just in case if he does lose his wicket, he wants to set something for them that it's a decent amount and not too many for the West Indies tail to chase. Talking about the semi-final between South Africa and England for the women's. But I think it's awesome, Hamish. Enjoy the game. Hit 99 runs, boss. There's Nate. It should be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. As long as I catch the ball without this part, because the last 3 catches I have dropped, in fact, no, the last 2 catches I have dropped, shot. Jeez, that's a banger from Blackwood. Straight through extra cover for the 4. Yeah, the last 2 catches have hit me here and here, even though this part is normally where you want to catch the ball. Hits me there every time, unfortunately, so I need to fix that before the weekend. Don't want to be the one who drops the catch. Australia State of Origin 2023, yep, also gonna be taking place. Blackwood, continuing scoring runs are fun, but how long will it last for? That's a very well, that's gotta be wide, doesn't it, from Coetzee, or not quite? It's gonna be alright. You see there quite a few of the South African women's side in attendance for this matchup, which is great to see. They are supporting their men's side through these tricky overs. And Sergio said, "Hi, how's it going? Welcome in, Sergio. Hope you are doing very well too, mate. I'm doing very well. Excited to see how the end of this session goes. We've got another 20 minutes left. With the West Indies slowly building back into this one with a great partnership between Blackwood and De Silva. Does need to continue, but South Africa, 1 wicket here to break this partnership would change this whole match. 144 kilometers per hour. What would be his quickest 50 that he's got in his West Indian career? I feel like this has got to be close to it, doesn't it? Are you streaming the last session? You said, Ahmad, we might be doing some of the last session. Yep. This stage that is slightly the plan. I'll be honest, at the stage of the tea break, which is in 20 minutes' time, I was saying before the live stream that if the West Indies were 7 down, I would continue on, but we'll see how it's progressing. If West Indies are scoring decently, like we will probably end up continuing on. It's just more of the case of we won't get any real decent chunks of sleep tonight before the weekend. Silver and Blackwood. The last two, you'd say, well-established batsmen for the West Indies. After that, they've got, I mean, Jason Holder, he can hold a bat, but he seems to always go out cheaply in test match cricket compared to short format where he normally does very well. Or Yorker, great straight drive. And be 4 more for Blackwood. He's just been in some very good form at the moment throughout this test match. But yeah, you've got Holder, then you've got Alzadi Joseph, and then you've got Roach and Gabriel. Is that all? A wicket falling here. Then you've got that would be 6 down. Then you've got Holder as the 7th, Joseph, Roach, and Gabriel. Yep. So that's their side that they've got. Nicely whipped away. That's a point for one. So, what do you think about Pakistan versus South Africa versus West Indies bowling lineup, says Aman. So Pakistan, South Africa, West Indies. Are we saying full strength, Aman, or currently, like from last test match wise? Because, I mean, South Africa, their seam attack at the moment seems very good for the World Cup. Ooh. So we're talking the upcoming World Cup in India, aren't we, Aman? It's tricky because none of those sides, other than maybe the exception of Pakistan, are well known for their spin attack, are they? Like, they've got great spinners, but compared to someone like an India or a Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, they don't really have those very well-established spinners there. Nicely done again. West Indies get it down to 100 runs to win with 5 down, then it will be interesting. True. These 2 can bat out the rest of the day. More than likely, West Indies will only need maybe around that 100, maybe even close to 80 runs. I mean, Blackwood's scoring at a great running rate at the moment, 47 of 46. Target of 247 seems quite intimidating in a fifth innings of a test match. Oh, sorry, the fourth innings of a test match. But when it's only day 3, oh, that's going to be buys. That might even be wides. Is it buys or wides? It's going to be buys. And that is actually an extra 4 runs that now they don't have to get taken out their pace lineups in India. Yeah, see, I think straight away, as you could hear, my brain went to spin because of those Indian tracks. But pace attack wise, I think West Indies may struggle a little bit in the shorter format just because I don't know whether or not they're fully. I mean, are they even qualified at this stage, the West Indies, for the World Cup? Or do they still have to go through the qualification stages? South Africa, their pace attack. Oh, was that a wicket? No, it's hit him in the jaw. Or sorry, not in the jaw, in the stomach. Like, hmm. Pakistan, I think probably out of those 3, best chance, mainly because of the likes of a Shan Afridi, Harris, Ralph, that 150K ripper of a delivery he can pull out. And then you've also got those spin options thrown in there as well, the likes of a Shadab Khan. Who else have they got in their quick bowling? They've got that other young fella I can see, but I can't think of. Not Hafiz. Also, I don't know whether he bowls test matches. There's one that kind of looks like Daniel, one of the other Kiwi lads. He's normally not too bad either. But yeah, I'll probably go Pakistan, South Africa, West Indies in terms of who will be most effective in Naseem Shah. That's the one. But yeah, anyone who knows Daniel from the Kiwi lads, he looks quite similar. It's almost uncanny. Hello to the girls in the grandstand, women's cricket team. There's Nate there. They are all in attendance for this matchup, which is great to see. They might get to see a result on this day as well. Still not a huge amount of crowd at the game though. It has name. Exactly. So yeah, Pakistan, I think out of those three are probably my most dangerous. South Africa, then West Indies. Would you agree, Aman, or have you got a different order? Do let me know. They do better in the short format. New Zealand, dark horse team in the World Cup. Says Sergio. Yeah, they've managed to get through to so many finals. It's converting that next step that normally is where the Kiwis do struggle. But if they can get it right in their short format and they find the right lineup, I think they could do well. It's just the fact that it's in India, I think, will be what makes them struggle that little bit more. That's another big swing from Blackwood. That's going to be his half century. A great one indeed for Jermaine Blackwood. And he's hitting that many boundaries that now South Africa they have to ask the question of how many runs are they willing to give away before they start to close some of those gaps. And do you think Australia will beat India? I think they've got a good shot, but their wicket that they're playing on is one that is disastrous. So there's a chance that they could be bowled out for less than the 70 something that they need to chase down. And it wouldn't even surprise me because of like you see those balls skidding through this high off the ground. It's day two. Like, how has someone messed that up that badly? I think I was talking about it with someone earlier on. I said it's all well and good creating a pitch to give your side a bit of an advantage. You know, like India, they've got a good spin attack. You build a pitch that helps those spinners get a few more wickets, but you don't build a pitch that gives them that much of an advantage that it's almost considered unplayable at times throughout a test match on the second day. Like, and it was unplayable almost on the first day as well. It's a poor pitch, unfortunately. Asian team will do well, yep. I think India, home favourites, definitely gonna have a decent crack. Australia, they'd like to back themselves. They've got quite a deep batting lineup, but it's whether the bowlers can get the job done as well. I'd love to see someone like a maybe Jai Richardson after his great bowling in the BBL over the last 3 years. Andrew Tye even, imagine if he makes a comeback the side. Currently, 13 minutes left of this session, and we will have the 20-minute break and then jumping straight into the final session. It's currently 1:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. So I think it's a tricky decision to make because this weekend, across 3 days, across 72 hours, I believe we're going to get about 10 hours of sleep. That's almost guaranteed at this point. Maybe we'll reach 15 hours of sleep if we're very lucky. So this game's a tricky one to decide whether or not to stay up right till the end of the day or whether to sleep now so that I can do a lot more live streams over the weekend. Which batters would be most dangerous to bowl in India? Top five picks. Oh, okay. So dangerous batsman in India. That's a great shot from De Silva as well. I should mention just whipping it off his pads, gets it away for the boundary. That's another boundary as well. I should have mentioned. So they are starting to score quite freely. And that is actually Rabada back into the bowling attack for South Africa. So trying to buy that wicket after he was bowling extremely well at the start of the match. So to be honest, in the top five batsmen who will go well in India, batsmen, whether it is going to be someone like a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli, I'm not too sure who's in the selection as of yet. A few other guys at the top of the order do very well for India. Babar Azam, very good. But then saying that gets a lot of his runs on Pakistan pitches, which are normally about as flat as can be. So you wonder if he's facing someone who's bowling a bit more spin. and it is turning drastically. He should still go all right though, so he's probably still in my top 5. Um, for the Australians, who plays spin well for Aussie? Maybe Steve Smith, but then he normally goes out cheaply in ODI, doesn't he? Steve Smith. Kane Williamson, I'd like to think would do quite well in ODI compared to T20. I've always preferred him in the longer format in short, but yeah, it's kind of it was probably not the best top 5 to be honest, but just a few big names thrown in there. I wonder if someone like a Joe Root, if he goes ODI, I don't think he does. Ben Stokes, maybe? Tricky, isn't it? And India have dangerous opening batsmen off the edge, taken. De Silva gone, reaching for the ball. That's the wicket that the West Indies were dreading to come, and Rabada has picked it up. He will now take his 3rd wicket for the Proteas in this matchup. And De Silva will be disappointed. That is actually about the 3rd or 4th time that one of the West Indies players has reached out wide, tried to play it that wider delivery. Now Jason Holder will be making his way to the crease 10 minutes before the tea break. Swinging away off the outside edge, carries through, and great take from Peterson. He did drop one earlier on, didn't drop that one. Straight into the mitts. You can see how far out De Silva was playing that. Normally, you want to be playing the ball about here. In fact, it looks different when you're standing up because you'd have it a little bit. Because this is my bat. You can't see my bat. That looks wrong. This is my bat, okay? In fact, I got a Powerade bottle. This is my bat. You want to be playing the ball just under the eye line. Whereas De Silva for that one, he was reaching out to here trying to drive it. These are hard angles to hit in a small confined area. But De Silva gone, caught Peterson, bowled Rabada. West Indies 91 for 6. 9 minutes left now till the lunch break. Rabada, I believe, will be lucky enough to get another over in, and if he can pick up either Holder, maybe even Blackwood at the other end, would be massive for the South Africans going into this final session, because these two do have the potential of building a 50-run partnership here after the last wicket has fallen. Just about getting it right for long enough. Beholder in at 8. Always surprises me when I see this man batting so low in the test format due to what he's able to do in short format. I'm going to have to shuffle over this way a bit because I am nowhere near the center of my screen. I look so bright for a second there. What did I? There we go. No, there's the actual color that we are. It just kind of dims us down. And Ishanala, hopefully I said that correctly, he is a speedster emerging through the PSL, says Amano. I have to give him a look how he's going. Best was 202 not out for Jason Holder, average of 28.86. But on this type of wicket, probably not going to be too easy to get a big total like that for Holder, but he's going to try his absolute best to be able to do so. Right, here we go. Jason Holder on. Actually, no, sorry. Oh, wow. What a ball from Nokia. That just goes, yep, that'll do. Holder in the non-strikers end, I should mention, but that is a cracker of a delivery. That's bounced off the seam and just went. I realized now I had water that I could have been drinking throughout this whole 2-hour live stream. But I hadn't been. Probably not strategic on my part. I might already lose my voice before the weekend. Last week it was Joshua De Silva, 17 runs off 30 deliveries for that man. Here comes the big man, Nokia. Got a ball again, nicely punched out to the man at deep cover, and now Holder will have strike to a bowler who's been unlucky not to pick up a wicket here, Nokia. He's been very close multiple times. Are you surprised England lost to New Zealand by 1 run in the second test? Yes, but I'm also surprised it was that close, like, in the first place. Because you think about all the seesaws that happened in that match, whether it was New Zealand getting bowled out that looked like then they had no chance, England enforcing the follow on, which straight away the statistics always said that New Zealand should have been up against it at that point. But then you see that little run out of Bracewell when he didn't have his bat grounded and his foot grounded, that seemed like a turning point because then New Zealand lost their wickets. Then England breezing with Joe Root and Ben Stokes. Oh, it's a bit of a yes, no. Almost ended up with both batsmen at one end. Holder apologises to his teammate. Yeah, and then having Folks look like he was gonna close it out nice and easy, and then he didn't, 'cause he went out, and then, yeah, those last wickets falling, New Zealand managing to walk away with it. Certainly an eventful test match over the 5 days. Blackwood back on strike. I can strongly say if Blackwood is dismissed in the next 5 minutes, the final session of this test match will not wait long, or will not take long. So, yeah, short ball from Nokia. And in fact, if South Africa are quick enough here, get through these last 2 balls in Nokia, chuck Rabada in and get through his over relatively quickly, maybe end up in that scenario of maybe one more extra Nokia. And you click 150 often are watching his bowling and give you regards. There's Iman. Oh, and they always say pure pace is sometimes the best way of creating deception. And hitting 150 is just quick enough that then your brain, if you hesitate slightly, you're gone. Right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I am on my phone at the moment. My Wi Fi completely cut out, but the good news is now apparently it's back. That was very weird, but one moment we'll go like this. I can see myself. Right, we're back. Oh, that's very loud. There we go. We've fixed it. All sorted. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. The Wi Fi decided that it wanted to disappear for a little bit, which is rather unfortunate, definitely with the timing, because they were just about to bowl one of the final overs. But what we'll quickly do, yeah, like that, there we go. It's like it never happened. And in the end, the moment the South Africans, wait, no, that's the wrong score. We'll go like this. Right. T on day three, 93 for six. At the moment, the West Indies are sitting. So it was a good batting innings from Blackwood, sitting currently on 52 off 56 deliveries. Holder sitting on 1 off 7, so being able to get off to a run early. But the South Africans definitely the side has looked more dangerous in this session, although Blackwood's batting has been very nice as well. But do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me clearly? Is it all working smoothly? I had to go quickly reset the Wi-Fi modem, even with resetting it. The PC didn't want to have a bar of it, but now it seems like it's back. We might be all right. Might be running smoothly. But Brathwaite, he was dismissed for a duck, 10 for Chanderpaul, 8 for Reefer, 52 not out at the moment for Blackwood. Chase and Mayers both actually ended up getting themselves ducks. And then Holder there after De Silva dismissed for 17. Also, we got there the ghosts from Rudy Jordan. It probably looked very weird with me through my phone. The funny thing is, the audio is probably better through my phone compared to my audio through my microphone. But Rabada and the key bowler for South Africa so far, 3 wickets taken off his 8 overs. Janssen picking up the 2 wickets. Please watch Shanala bowling on YouTube, says Iman. So we'll have to give it a look at some point in the future. But yeah, Blackwood, the most runs on the board at the moment for the West Indies throughout the 2 innings. Reefer managed to get himself 62 in the first innings for the West Indies, but combined, we've seen more from Blackwood. Don't know how far away we are from the end of this test match, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think it's going to be going the full 5 days, that's for sure. I don't even know if we're going to reach a day 4. If we are to do so, it would mean that these 2 batsmen, Holder and also Blackwood, would have to bat for a majority of this session to not expose their tail order, which is made up of Alzari Joseph. Also in there, they have got Kumar Roach and then Shannon Gabriel, the last batsman. And if it gets to that stage, West Indies will be in some real trouble. But 154 runs still to win for the West Indies. It's not impossible, it's just improbable for the men from the Caribbean. Currently, we are at the tea break. We've got that 20-minute window where they will not be playing. They do get a bit of a spell, and they will be back out there. Now, my Wi-Fi is concerning me because it's currently looking like it's about to cut back out. The numbers, well, not the numbers, but like that signal bar thing is going quite low. We'll see how we're going in the next 10 minutes or so. If it randomly cuts out, more than likely the Wi-Fi has gone. And in that case, I'll probably just quickly run onto data on my phone so that I can end the live stream at that random point. And also, we've got the iLads Discord message to check after the live stream. Is Yarnlu, as long as they still have Wi-Fi, Yarnlu, because currently the Wi-Fi cut out just a moment ago. Like, we'll get some help. The West Indies will win. There's really didn't get your Wi-Fi fixed, bro. Well, we actually recently got fiber, and it's been working well at times, but it also cuts out multiple times. I still have to reset the modem a lot. But yeah, it seems to be the case of any time I lose Wi-Fi, I end up jumping onto my phone, buying data in my own like living facilities to then be able to like that little part there. I spent $10 on data to buy one of those unlimited plans just in case I had to stay on my phone, which wasn't the best idea. I probably should have just let it run, and however much it ended up being was however much. I would have been charged, but yeah, to be safe, I decided to buy the unlimited data for 1 day. So I spent $10 for 3 seconds of footage of me being on the stream before the Wi-Fi came back. It's slightly unfortunate. And you can end if you want. Get ready for Super Rugby. We all know South Africa will win, says Yanri. There's a high probability in there at the moment for the South Africans. I'm surprised that here in New Zealand it's still 15 degrees Celsius. Actually quite warm for the evening. It was a very hot day today. We ended up having cricket training. I don't think I got burnt, but maybe a little bit. You'll be right. Hopefully we get burnt on Saturday. Hopefully it's worth it because we've also got the win for our semi-final. Fingers crossed. Apparently they are actually advertising Super Rugby on Sky. Yeah, the Wi-Fi, it's a dodgy one. It seems to go well and then it just goes away. Do you think New Zealand World Cup curse? Or do you think New Zealand can end the World Cup curse? To be honest, I don't think it's going to be this World Cup. And that's as a Kiwi, yes, some Kiwis will be like, what? You can't say that about your own side, you traitor. But I don't know. Indian conditions, I just don't think favour the Black Caps that much at all. In terms of our spin options, we got Ish Sodhi, um, and then who? Michael Bracewell currently not playing that great. Although he goes better in ODIs than he does in Test matches, it does seem. How many hours till the first Super Rugby game? We've still got a little bit of time till that first Super Rugby game, about maybe 18, but it's more of the fact that I have to get up early tomorrow morning or today morning just for live stream prep, and there's also a little bit of work in the morning. So I'm probably going to be up in about 6 hours' time at this point. And then that will be me up for the whole day up until just after midnight. I'll have a nice full 16 or so hour day. And then I'll be jumping into playing cricket on Saturday morning. Any chance of streaming Major League Rugby games this season, if not all goods? I'd like to. I feel like it's one of those competitions that every year I've said I'd like to do a few of those games, and every year I end up missing out. I know that they're up to about round 3, and to be honest, on my schedule, pretty much what I do is I put down a schedule of literally every sporting game that's happening over the weekend across the sports that we cover. Then from there, I'll do another schedule with the most, like, kind of the ones that are more probable. And one of the MLR games actually ended up in that category, but then I normally do the finalized one, and it just ended up missing out. I think it was the game between Nola and someone, I believe. I'll just have a quick look. Yeah, it almost made the cut. Can't wait for the Canes to do what they do best. And I should mention for that Super Rugby live stream tomorrow night, Rebels versus Hurricanes, we're actually going to have George joining us for that one, and maybe even a post match with Distracted Sports. So more guests coming up. Can't believe South Africa women lost their final against Australia. I think a lot of people though would have said that Australia, I mean, they look like favourites from the start of the competition, and South Africa to make it to the final was absolutely huge for them. And all those girls on the side should be very proud to have made their way as far as they did. The MLR, there it is. So the game that almost snuck into the schedule was actually, no, sorry, it wasn't a NOLA game. I think it was actually the Monday morning game between the Houston Sabercats and San Diego Legion. It was very close and good. George can watch the Hurricanes go. Fun fact, the Melbourne Rebels have never beaten the Bulls. Says Yanri now. That is a very fun fact that you know, Yanri. But yeah, round 4, Nola Gold versus the New York Iron Workers. If we can get it in Sunday afternoon's a doable time. And even if it's just a live stream that's a bit more casual than normal, because I'll be honest, there'll be some players that I don't know, but sometimes those ones are more fun when we're just kind of learning as we go and experiencing a competition like together for the first time, if that makes sense. Even though it sounds a bit cheesy, but like being able to watch a competition with you guys feels a lot different than watching a competition without like doing it on a stream type thing. Target is 247. So the West Indies need another 154 runs to win allegiance. Says Nate in there. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good game up against the Houston Sabercats. I believe it's on the Rugby Network here in New Zealand. I think it's on the Rugby Network. Actually, a majority of places is the watching option. They are talking to the Proteas captain at the moment and feel the South Africa women's team need more test matches, games, and ODIs, says Yanri now. But now that they've been able to prove themselves in this competition, like maybe that opens the door for more matches. Similar to what we see for sevens normally. You see a side as an invitational side 1 year, and then all of a sudden they find themselves actually as a regular in the comp. And they only improve from there. Is any of your family going to join you on the stream today? Says Rudy. I don't believe we're going to have any family joining, but we are going to have George joining, one of the other Kiwi lads. And he is going to be joining for the Rebels versus Hurricanes game. Everyone else, definitely for this one, they are currently sleeping in the house. And Braden Aosi, as this guy plays for my club, went to my high school. Oh, I know this guy plays for my club, went to my high school. He's plays awesome. He's a good player, Braden Aosi. And hopefully does find success for Hurricanes in the future. But nonetheless, I think my Wi-Fi, I'm looking at it again. I'm a little bit worried. We might be ending before the final session gets underway. Do apologise for that, but you cannot help the Wi-Fi, unfortunately. All good, Amish. I'll be watching whatever games I can get my eyes on MLR this year. There's Blues Nate. And the good news is on the Rugby Network, I believe they have the option of replaying the matches that you missed. Quite a cool touch. Hello to there. It's a bit late making chicken schnitzel and Thomas herb, or sorry, tomato or tomato, depending on where you're from. Tomato. I always say tomato. I don't know why I'm saying tomato. I think it's because we talked about the MLR and now I've got the American. Me, tomato herb pasta sauce. Lunch only just tuned in. Wow, couldn't believe South Africa batsman collapsing like that. Yeah, it was the lowest score that they have ever got as a side up against the West Indies in an innings. Look how far above the Proteas men are in the women's cricket because of how much they play, says Yanri. And I think it's just more that the women's game, in a certain regard, is still quite new. And as it slowly becomes more and more established, that's when they'll start to have more and more matches being played, more opportunities with tours and competitions and everything along those lines. And that will definitely benefit them. Gets too injured too much, sadly. And Tomeo says, Blues Nate there. Yeah, I don't think I've ever said tomato in my life. Not on purpose, anyway. And then that one seemed to come out a little bit too naturally for myself. I think it's just because I can't talk today. You heard me say myself. So I think my brain's just not working. But I'm sure for the last session, we're going to get to see some pretty awesome action. Yeah, we won't be covering it on the channel, sadly. I do apologize just because I'm worried the Wi-Fi is going to cut out at the wrong time. Also, it is 2 a.m., so we should probably consider going to bed relatively soon. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, sure leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be back with plenty more cricket in the future. I don't think we'll get a day 4 of this test match, but if we do, we might get a chance of doing a bit of the commentary for it as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. Hope you all have a good day/night. Enjoy the rest of today's play. And I will see you all tomorrow for Super Rugby Crusaders versus Highlanders, Rebels taking on the Hurricanes. But I will see you all for the next one.